Smell the red then. My old mum used to swear by thistledew. Smell the red then. I remember an old boy saying to me, Bronx Ball's best way of telling. My old mum used to swear by thistledew. Smell the red then.
Well, hello there. I'm just pumping water, emptying my water tanks. When I got it, the water tanks were full, and I think they might have been in there for quite a while. The taste isn't good, so I've been living off of bottled water for the last week. Tomorrow I'm going into a marina, so I'm going to hopefully fill up my tanks there. And I got some stuff to put in to clean them out. Meanwhile, while it's quiet, and I'll try and lower the tempo of the water pumping. I have no idea if you can even hear this, but I'm going to try and recount my second. Actually, I should probably just start at the beginning, really. My first night away from a marina. My first night actually moored up on a mooring ball, and my boat ended up getting grounded, meaning the keel hit the bottom, the land on the floor, and my boat then couldn't move as the tide went out and then came back in again. It was okay. I mean, the boat ended up tilting over as the tide went out, but you know, it was safe. I worked out how much water was going to go, how far the water was going to go down compared to how far I could tilt the boat, and it was all fine. But the motion of the waves hitting the side of the boat made me seasick quite a lot, actually, and my mouth and esophagus still hurts from it. It's actually much better today, but the last few days have been pretty hard to eat or drink anything. So I had to ride that one out. I had the opportunity to move the boat at high tide, but I wasn't feeling very great, as you can imagine. My blood sugars went through the roof as well. Vomiting with type 1 diabetes is never a good thing, so that was quite concerning as well. And all I really wanted to do was just bury my head under the sheets and go to sleep for like 30 minutes or 30 days. So that was one option, was to move the boat at night time. The other option was to ride out the next low tide at, I think it was 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And, you know, prepare to ground again and have all the same motion again. And then as soon as the tide started coming back in around 7, 8 o'clock, and lifting the boat up, get out of there and find a new anchorage. I decided to go with the second option and try and sleep through the next low tide, at least the motion of it, and then move the boat as soon as possible thereafterwards. So I think it was 7:30, I was on my boat getting it ready, and by 8 o'clock I was out of there, moving up to the anchorage I'm now at, which is beautiful, stuck between a couple of islands, and it's really quite sheltered and peaceful, except for the next night. So did I manage one night up here? Can't even remember now. I think it might have been my second night up here in this anchorage. The winds picked up, high tide pulled out my anchor, and I was in my bedroom, and I felt the boat moving slightly differently to how it was, you know, the several hours beforehand. So I came out and I checked, and all my landmarks weren't where I expected them to be, and it was actually quite terrifying. So I got my Navionics out, an app on my phone. I got dressed in my wet weather gear, put on my special deck shoes, which are just very thin, like latexy, waterproofy sort of things. Put on my life jacket and went up and started my engine. It was pitch black. It was like midnight, and I say the winds were quite strong, and I had to sort of work out where I was, but of course you can't see anything. I've put on my little headlight, and I've got my power torch out, and I'm looking around for basically there's these huge poles that are in the water. Some are red, some are green, and they help you navigate. There's also, where I'm anchored at the moment, this huge red bollard with solar panels and electrical equipment on top. And you know, if I hit that, I could sink my boat. So I had to look out for all of these things. I mean, it was just lucky that as I drifted out, I hadn't actually hit anything, any of these obstacles. So I get Navionics out, and I can see exactly where I am. The best app in the world. Thank you, Navionics, quite seriously. And that helped me get back to where I was. But it was choppy, it wasn't easy. And then I had to lay my anchor again. Oh, I have an electric winch, so once I knew I had drifted and I need to get back, I raised my anchor and then navigated back to where I was. It wasn't easy because, as I say, there's these obstacles in the ways, and the weather wasn't ideal, and it was pitch black. So I'm trying to be careful, but I'm also trying to fight the wind and the tide. And I managed to get my boat back to roughly where it was. It wasn't exactly right. There's also 4 mooring buoys nearby, so I could see those with my red head torch. And also another boat had anchored up that day. Otherwise, I'm just alone here. It's just me. So obviously, I didn't want to get near him in a panic. I didn't want to crash. I didn't want to get near these mooring buoys because they're all private. So, you know, I had to get back to pretty much where I initially was and lay the anchor again. So I get to roughly where I am. I lower the anchor with the electric winch, and I put it in reverse. No, that's not even how it went. So I've learned a few things anchoring, and with my electric winch, you can't actually feel when the anchor hits the bottom. So it's a bit of guesswork. And as I'm new to it, I don't know how long you push the button for how much chain is coming out. And it's this button in the cockpit, and the anchor's all the way over there. So I'm ducking down in the cockpit, the electric winch, just hoping it's enough chain, basically. So now I'm laying the anchor by hand. I think it's called flaking. Flake up the chain up on the deck to as much as I need, and then I lay it out. Then I can feel when it reaches the bottom, and then I can lay out enough extra chain to manage for the tide and any swells. So I do that, chuck the boat in reverse to get a good grip, and nothing. I just keep on going backwards in the dark, being pushed by the wind and the tide, you know, hoping that I'm not going to hit anything. And it doesn't take. So I have to pull the anchor back up, reflake it as quick as possible, get back in the cockpit, and reposition again, and then back on the bow, lay the anchor, reaches the bottom, extra chain out. I even put a little dampener on it. It has a name, I can't remember for the life of me what it is, but basically a bit of rope hooked onto the chain, so it takes the tension out of the top of the chain, and makes it a little bit more, it gives it a bit of suspension. So I do all that, come back, chuck it in reverse, and I'm not going anywhere. I've got purchase on the anchor, and I'm like, thank God for that. I look around me, I see my landmarks. I can, with the red glint of my head torch, see where they are. I get my big torch out to find where the big concrete posts with electronics on it are, and the other boat, and I'm far enough away, and I'm just hoping that it doesn't happen again. So I sit in the cockpit, engine on, just idling for maybe an hour, just in case. And then I turn the engine off and I stay in the cockpit for 2 more hours. It's like 3:15 or something by this time. I end up having a video call with a friend, which was really nice. Get to explain the situation. Maybe not as in depth as this, but it was nice. And as scary as it all sounds, and as adrenaline filled as it was for a moment, I did what I had to do. I did it in a safe as I can think of way. I think I took all the precautions. It was the first time for me to ever have to deal with anything like that. I've never done anything like that before in my life. I feel very proud of what I've accomplished. All experiences are learning curves and will make me a better sailor as time goes on. I'm doing this all on my own, as I'm sure you can see. I've stopped pumping the water. But yeah, it's all very big steps for me. But yeah, I don't feel like I was scared. I just felt like I was doing what I had to do. Yeah, and I'm glad it ended up the way it was. I did have my radio with me, and I was being prepared to call the Coast Guard with a pan call. So, you know, I wasn't being stupid and thinking like, oh, I've got this in the bag or anything. Anything could go wrong, really, at any point. So you try and think of all scenarios, or at least all things you can have with you in case of a unknown scenario. All in all, pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with what's going on. Okay, I'm waffling now, so I'm sure you're finding that all very interesting. I hope you enjoyed the story. Lots has been going on, but it's all very exciting, and I can't actually wait to do more. So thanks very much for listening. If you made it all the way through this, congratulations to you. You can be my next captain. So from me and Captain Scrubs, wherever she may be, in the quarter berth on the cushions. She's a clever captain. So it's from me and the captain. Ahoy there.
My old mum used to swear by thistledew.
Cigarette then.
I remember an old boy saying to me, frog spawn's the best way of telling. My old mum used to swear by thistledew.
Cigarette then.